Clack of the Geek here, and welcome back to a brand new Doctor Who episode review. Today, I'm going to be reviewing the Series 3 two-parter, Daleks in Manhattan and Evolution of the Daleks. Now, I've been going through a lot of the Russell T Davies era this year, as I've said in previous videos, and I wanted to sort of give a few select stories another shot that maybe I was a bit unfair to, just because everybody else said that they're bad. Like Fear Her, I wanted to give that another shot. Just, is it as bad as people say? In that case, I think it is personally. But I rewatched this Daleks in Manhattan two-parter, and I've really come around on it. In my Series 3 ranking from last year, I said this about it.
But it's just the second part that really lets it down. First of all, the idea of a Dalek sounding good has already been done with Dalek, and even the classic series with Evil of the Daleks. And even Into the Daleks from Series 8 did it better, so this just doesn't add anything new to that idea. And also in the second part, it just gets a bit samey. It doesn't really focus on those interesting ideas in the first part, and just sort of becomes a bit too much style over substance, which...
Since then, I've really come around on this story, and I'd go as far as to say it's a very good story, and here's why. Starting with the 10th Doctor, David Tennant, in this story, I think he's fantastic. Not only does Tennant give a fantastic performance, but he's brilliant. You get some really nice bits of humour, a lot of optimism, but a lot of grief and anger and fury at the Daleks. Like, his reaction to seeing the Daleks again, you know, and his reaction when he loses people, and the fury that you see in his eyes, it's absolutely incredible. And, you know, I might rag on Tennant sometimes, but his stories like this, he's brilliant.
They always survive when I lose everything.
Now let's talk about Martha. Now, I've always loved Martha. She's one of my favourite New Who companions. And in this story, she's really good. She manages to, you know, pick up on stuff. She manages to hold her own in certain situations, like when she's, you know, confronted by the Daleks. I love her reaction when she first meets the Daleks, because when they say, like, you know, this is, you know, Dalek control and whatnot, like, she's heard of the Daleks because the Doctor's told her at the end of Gridlock. So she's smart, and you see her intelligence, and that's why I love Martha. You know, she's really smart, and she's brilliant in this story. Now let's talk about some of the side cast in this story. So you've got Solomon, played by Hugh Quashie, who's been in The Phantom Menace. You've got Tallulah, who's also, the actor, has also been in a few Big Finish audios as a companion to Colin Baker's Doctor. And you've got the amazing Spider-Man himself, Andrew Garfield, as Frank. And you've also got other characters that, you know, maybe I don't know what other stuff they've been in. You know, you've got Mr. Diagras, who's a really good human villain. And there's a real variety of subjects. There's a really good roster of characters. And there's not too many, so it doesn't feel overstuffed. But each character's distinct, they're varied, and they're all memorable and likeable, in my opinion. And, you know, they're all really they're well-realised characters, I think. Now let's talk about the historical setting of Depression-era New York. I love this, and this is one of my favourite things about this two-parter. You know, I love, you know, the Great Depression, and I love kind of, you know, the story. It doesn't go fully into it, but it does kind of explore it in certain ways, and the plot does, in certain ways, kind of mirror it. And, you know, you've got locations like Hooverville, the theatre, the Empire State Building, and also the sewers as well. You know, these varied locations, and as I was saying earlier, the variety of characters showing different perspectives of how it was like then. And, you know, you got higher class, you got lower class, all that kind of stuff. And it's really well done, I think. And it also has some really good, like, production values, you know, with the sets and the costumes, and you've got a frigging dance number halfway through. I mean, that's really cool. Speaking of production, the direction in this story is fantastic, and there's some really great shots. And I wanted to mention this shot when they're running in the sewers and they mount the cameras on the Daleks so it looks like from their perspective. I love that. That is something that really stuck out to me. But there's also really good shots, you know, and really good camera work, and just direction is great. And also, you know, the action sequences are, I think, done really well. Now let's talk about the Daleks themselves. The Cult of Skara are back from Army of Ghosts and Doomsday. They've landed in New York. These are the only ones left. And I love that, you know, they build upon this, that they're different Daleks. You know, they were designed to think of new ways of surviving, and they've given real character. Each Dalek there's disagreement with them, you know, and how Dalek Sec turns good when he's become the hybrid thing, and they're absolutely fantastic, you know. And the others, the other Daleks, they're just willing to. They kill Sec at the end, you know. They end up basically almost going extinct, except for Khan at the end. Also, the part when he escapes at the end is just fantastic. But I love in this story, you know, the ideas of, you know, the good Dalek premise and doing something different with it. And I don't see what my issue was it, you know, initially. I think now, looking back, it does do something different with that good Dalek premise. And I love the ideas of them experimenting and, you know, the whole evolution kind of stuff. I love that. That's really interesting. However, the story is far from perfect, and I think the main problem that most have, and you know why this episode was kind of infamous for kind of the wrong reasons, is the Dalek Sec hybrid thing. Like, as I say, I appreciate the ideas, but the design is just it just looks wrong. The scene when, you know, Diagoras and Sec join up. It's just off-putting to look at, and not in a good way, and it just I don't like it. It just doesn't. It doesn't look right at all. But aside from Dalek Ballsack, there are other problems with this story. The American accents, whilst charming in a way and cheesy, you know, they are pretty bad. The pig slaves, they add nothing to the story, are really unnecessary, and are just a really crap monster that it just didn't need to be there. And this is something that I said in my initial assessment of the story, and in the Series 3 ranking video that I think I said, is that the second part is very sort of style over substancy, and it doesn't rub me the wrong way as much now, but it's still very much there. There's a lot of action, you know, there's the Dalek chasing the sewers, there's the Doctor on the Empire State Building, there's the Dalek humans blowing Thay and Jast up, and, you know, there's a lot of, you know, all these action set pieces, but I think some of those interesting ideas from part 1 do sort of get dropped. And there are interesting things in part 2, but just not like how part 1 was, in my opinion. So in summary, is this story flawed? Absolutely. It's not perfect. It's got flaws. It's definitely got flaws. But I've really come to appreciate what it sets out to do. And it kind of does feel like event television. I think this might be a story, like a bit like Love and Monsters, you know, a story that wasn't liked initially, but, you know, that's kind of become like a cult classic. This story, I've seen get a bit more, you know, sort of appraisal, and I think the YouTube channel Doctor Adventures say it's their favourite story, so shout out to them. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely got its fans, and I think in years to come it might be seen as possibly, you know, another cult classic maybe. And I'm going to give this story a 7 out of 10. I think there's a lot of positives to this story. And, you know, I think it's always good to go back to stories that you're not too keen on to see whether they're any good or not. I'm not rewatching Hellbent though, so you can shut up about that. I'm not rewatching that. But yeah, anyway, that's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. What are your thoughts on this story? Do you not like it? Do you really like it? What are your thoughts? Let me know all that in the comments below. Be sure to like and subscribe. Click the bell so you don't miss a thing. And this is Clack of the Geek signing out. Goodbye, everyone.